After the divorce was finalized, I vanished. No forwarding address. No goodbye. My husband stood there in his brand new suit, the one I had bought him for his law school graduation, and he laughed. He actually laughed. "Good riddance," he said to his mother. "Now I can finally live the life I deserve." 3 years later, he would be on his knees in my office, begging me to save everything he had left. But let me start from the beginning. Hey everyone, how y'all doing? Welcome back to Black Queen's Vengeance. Before we dive into today's story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Today's story is one that still makes my heart ache when I think about it. It's about sacrifice, betrayal, and the sweetest karma you've ever heard. So grab your snacks, get comfortable, and let's get into it. My name is Zara. I was 24 years old when I met Marcus at a community center in Atlanta. I was volunteering at a weekend tutoring program for kids, and he walked in looking for directions to the job fair next door. He was tall, dark-skinned, with these intense eyes that seemed to look right through you. He was wearing clothes that had seen better days, but he carried himself like he was wearing a three-piece suit. We got to talking, and I learned he was working 2 minimum-wage jobs trying to save up for the LSAT. He wanted to be a lawyer more than anything in the world. His father had been wrongfully convicted when Marcus was 12, spent 8 years in prison before being exonerated. By then, his father was a broken man who died just 2 years after his release. Marcus wanted to become the kind of lawyer who would fight for people like his dad, people who had no one in their corner. I fell in love with that dream. I fell in love with him. We started dating, and 6 months later, we were married at the courthouse. Nothing fancy, just us, my best friend Denise as a witness, and a cheap bouquet I picked up from the grocery store. I didn't care about the wedding. I cared about the life we were going to build together. Marcus got into law school. Not Harvard or Yale, but a good state school with a solid reputation. The problem was money. His credit was destroyed from years of struggling, and his student loans wouldn't cover everything. There was housing, books, bar prep courses, all the little expenses that add up. He sat me down one evening, his head in his hands, and told me he didn't think he could do it. "Baby, I'll figure it out," I told him. "You just focus on school. I've got us." And I meant it with every fiber of my being. I was working as a medical assistant at a clinic during the day. The pay was decent, but not enough. So I picked up a second job. Nights and weekends, I drove for a rideshare company. When that still wasn't enough, I started doing medical transcription work from home in the few hours I had left. I would finish my clinic shift at 6, drive until midnight, come home, transcribe reports until 3 in the morning, sleep for 4 hours, and do it all again. For 6 years, that was my life. I want y'all to really understand what those 6 years looked like. I didn't buy new clothes. I wore the same 3 work outfits on rotation, washing them by hand to save on laundry costs. I ate 1 meal a day most days, usually whatever I could grab cheap between jobs. I gave up my car so Marcus could have reliable transportation to school, and I took the bus or borrowed Denise's car when I needed it. I canceled my health insurance to save money, even though I worked at a medical clinic and knew better. Every single dollar I could squeeze out of my life went toward Marcus's education. And you know what? I did it gladly. I did it with love. Because I believed in him. I believed in us. I believed that once he graduated and passed the bar, it would be our turn. He would get a good job, and I could finally breathe. Maybe I could go back to school myself. Maybe we could start a family. Maybe I could just sleep for more than 4 hours a night. Marcus studied hard. I'll give him that. He was at the top of his class by his 3rd year. Law firms were already circling, offering summer internships and promises of positions after graduation. He started wearing nicer clothes, gifts from the firms trying to recruit him. He started going to networking events and dinners that I wasn't invited to. He started coming home later and later, smelling like expensive cologne and wine. I told myself it was just part of the process. He was building our future. His mother never liked me. From day one, she made that clear. She thought Marcus could do better. "That girl has no ambition," she would say right in front of me. "She's just a medical assistant. What kind of wife is that for a lawyer?" Marcus would weakly defend me, but as the years went on, even those weak defenses stopped coming. She started visiting more often during his last year of law school. She would look around our tiny apartment with disgust, make comments about the cheap furniture, the bare walls, the food in our refrigerator. "When you graduate," she would tell Marcus, ignoring me completely, "you need to upgrade everything in your life. Everything." I worked 16 hours the day Marcus graduated from law school. I had requested the day off months in advance, but a coworker called in sick, and my supervisor guilted me into covering. I promised Marcus I would make it to the ceremony, and I did. I drove straight from my shift, still in my scrubs, and slipped into the back of the auditorium just as they called his name. I cheered louder than anyone. I was so proud I was crying. After the ceremony, I found Marcus outside with his mother and a group of people I didn't recognize. They were clearly other law graduates and their families, dressed in expensive clothes, champagne glasses in hand. I ran up to hug my husband, still in my wrinkled scrubs, my hair a mess, bags under my eyes from years of exhaustion. Marcus stepped back from my hug. "Zara," he said, looking around at the people watching us. "You came straight from work?" "I couldn't miss this," I said, confused by his tone. "Baby, I'm so proud of you. We did it." His mother laughed. Actually laughed out loud. "We? Honey, what exactly did you do besides hold him back?" I waited for Marcus to defend me. I waited for him to tell his mother to stop, to put his arm around me, to acknowledge the 6 years I had poured into his dream. He just stood there, looking embarrassed, looking at me like I was something he had stepped in. That night, after the celebration I wasn't really part of, Marcus sat me down in our tiny apartment, the same apartment I had worked 3 jobs to afford, the same apartment where I had rubbed his shoulders during exam weeks and quizzed him on case law until my eyes couldn't stay open. "Zara, we need to talk." I knew. Something in my gut. I already knew. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," he said, not meeting my eyes, "about the future, about who I want to be, about the kind of life I want to live." He paused. "I've accepted a position at Mitchell & Associates. It's one of the top firms in the city. I'll be making more money in a year than we've made in our entire marriage combined." "That's amazing, baby," I said, even though the cold feeling in my stomach was growing. "That's what we worked for." "That's the thing, Zara." He finally looked at me. "It's what I worked for, and I think we want different things now. You're comfortable being small, working your little jobs, living your little life, but I'm meant for more." The partners at the firm, they have wives who went to Spelman, to Harvard, wives who can walk into a room and command respect, wives who are equals. I couldn't breathe. "Are you saying I'm not your equal? After everything I did for you?" "I'm saying you're holding me back." His voice was cold now. "I need someone who can rise with me, not someone I have to carry." Carry. The word hit me like a physical blow. I had worked myself to the bone for 6 years. I had sacrificed my health, my dreams, my entire life. And he thought he was carrying me? "I want a divorce," Marcus said. "I already talked to a lawyer. You can keep the apartment and the furniture. I just want out." His mother appeared in the doorway of our bedroom. I hadn't even known she was there. She was smiling, y'all. Smiling like this was the best day of her life. "It's for the best, sweetie," she said to me with fake sympathy. "You had a good run, but you have to know your place. You were never meant to be a lawyer's wife." I spent 3 days in that apartment, unable to eat, unable to sleep, unable to do anything but stare at the walls and wonder where I had gone wrong. Denise came over on the 3rd day and found me curled up on the couch, still in the same clothes, surrounded by balled-up tissues. "Zara, Zara, look at me." She grabbed my face and forced me to meet her eyes. "This is not the end. You hear me? This is not how your story ends." I gave him everything, Denise. Everything. And it still wasn't enough. I wasn't enough. No. Her voice was fierce. He wasn't enough. He wasn't man enough to appreciate what he had. That's on him, not you. And I swear to God, Zara, if you let this break you, I will never forgive you. Because you are the strongest woman I know. You worked 3 jobs for 6 years. Do you understand what that takes? That's not weakness. That's superhuman strength. And you are going to get up, and you are going to survive this, and you are going to thrive. Because that's who you are. The divorce was finalized 8 weeks later. Marcus got exactly what he wanted. He kept his fancy new job and his fancy new life. I kept the apartment I could no longer afford, furniture I had bought from thrift stores, and the crushing weight of a broken heart. I couldn't stay in Atlanta. Everywhere I looked, there were memories. The restaurant where we had our first date, the park where he proposed with a ring I had secretly paid for, the law school where I had dropped him off and picked him up for 6 years. So I did the only thing I could think of. I vanished. I sold everything I owned, the furniture, the car I had finally been able to buy with my own money, even my jewelry, everything except one suitcase of clothes and my grandmother's Bible. I took the bus to Chicago. I had a distant cousin there who had offered me her couch until I could get on my feet. Now, here's where I need y'all to understand something. When I left Atlanta, I had exactly $4,200 to my name. That's what 6 years of supporting someone else's dream had left me. I was 30 years old, divorced, broken, and essentially starting from zero. But I had something Marcus never understood. I had resilience. In Chicago, I got a job at a hospital. Not as a medical assistant this time, but in administration. The pay was a little better, and more importantly, they offered tuition reimbursement. I started taking night classes in healthcare management, not because I had dreams of being a CEO, but because I needed to do something for myself for once. I needed to prove that I was worth investing in. 2 years into my time in Chicago, something unexpected happened. My supervisor called me into her office and told me that the hospital was launching a new patient advocacy program. They needed someone to run it. Someone who understood what it was like to struggle, to feel unheard, to need someone in their corner. Would I be interested? I said yes before she finished the sentence. That program changed my life. I was good at it, really good. I knew how to fight for people who couldn't fight for themselves because I had been that person. I knew how to navigate bureaucracy because I had spent years navigating poverty. Within a year, our patient advocacy program was being featured in healthcare journals. Other hospitals were calling to ask how we did it. But it was a conversation with a patient that gave me my next breakthrough. She was a young mother, a single black woman, who had been fighting her insurance company for months over coverage for her son's treatment. I helped her win that fight, and when it was over, she grabbed my hands and started crying. "You don't understand," she said. "Nobody ever helps us. Nobody ever fights for us. People like me, we just fall through the cracks and everyone looks the other way. Where was someone like you when my mama was sick? Where was someone like you when my grandmother died because she couldn't afford her medication?" That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing her words. Where was someone like you? And I realized that what I was doing at the hospital, as meaningful as it was, wasn't enough. There were thousands of women like her, like me, who needed someone in their corner. Who needed resources, support, advocacy? Who needed someone to fight for them when the world said they weren't worth fighting for? I started small. I used my savings to register a nonprofit organization. I called it Her Foundation because I wanted every woman who came through our doors to feel seen, to feel like she mattered. We focused on 3 things: healthcare advocacy, helping women navigate the medical and insurance systems; financial literacy, teaching women how to protect themselves economically, how to never end up in the position I had been in with Marcus; and educational support, helping women who wanted to go back to school or start new careers. Denise moved to Chicago to help me. She quit her job in Atlanta and became our first official employee. We worked out of my tiny apartment for the first year, running programs at community centers and churches, doing everything on a shoestring budget. But word spread. Women started coming to us. Donors started noticing us. By the end of our second year, we had a real office, a small staff, and partnerships with hospitals and universities across the city. By year 3, Her Foundation was operating in 5 states. We had helped over 10,000 women access healthcare, education, and financial resources. I had been featured in Forbes as one of the top social entrepreneurs under 40. I had given a TED Talk about rising from rock bottom. I had more money in my bank account than I had ever dreamed of, and more importantly, I had purpose. But the thing that mattered most? I had finally stopped thinking about Marcus. Or so I thought. It was a Tuesday afternoon when Denise walked into my office with a strange look on her face. "You have a visitor," she said, "and you're not going to believe who it is." Before I could ask, she stepped aside, and there he was. Marcus. in my doorway. But this wasn't the Marcus I remembered. The man I had been married to was arrogant, polished, confident to the point of cruelty. The man standing in front of me now was broken. He had lost weight, and not in a healthy way. His clothes were wrinkled and didn't fit right. There were dark circles under his eyes, and his hands were shaking. "Zara," he said, and his voice cracked. I didn't know where else to go. I should have told him to leave. I should have called security and had him escorted out of the building, but I was frozen. 3 years of moving on, of healing, of building a new life, and one look at him brought all those old feelings rushing back. Not the love. That was gone. But the hurt, the betrayal, the memory of who I had been when I was with him. "You have 5 minutes," I heard myself say. Marcus collapsed into the chair across from my desk. "Everything fell apart," he said. "Everything. A year after you left, I made partner at the firm. I was on top of the world. I got remarried. Her name was Brianna. She was a corporate attorney at a rival firm. She was everything my mother said I should want. Beautiful, ambitious, connected. We had a big wedding in the Hamptons, 200 guests. It cost more than I made in a year." He laughed bitterly. 3 months after the wedding, I found out she was using me to get access to our client files. She was working for a competitor, funneling information for months. When the firm found out, they didn't just fire me, they reported me to the Bar Association. Even though I didn't know what she was doing, my name was on the marriage certificate. I was the security breach. My license was suspended pending investigation. I said nothing. I just watched him fall apart. Brianna disappeared. Moved to another state. Started over like nothing happened. My mother. He stopped, his jaw tightening. My mother said I should have listened to her. That she never trusted Brianna. Can you believe that? She was the one who pushed me toward that kind of woman in the first place. "Marcus, why are you here?" He finally looked me in the eye. "Because I need help. The investigation cleared me last month. I got my license back. But no firm will touch me. My reputation is destroyed. I have $200,000 in debt from the wedding, the lawyers, trying to keep my life together. I'm about to lose my apartment. I can't find work. And then I saw you." He pulled out his phone and showed me an article. It was the Forbes piece about her foundation, about me. "I couldn't believe it," he said. "The woman He stopped himself. "The woman I left, she built all of this. You're helping people, Zara. People like me. People who need a second chance." "Let me get this straight," I said slowly. "You divorced me because I was too small, too simple, too beneath you. You threw away 6 years of my sacrifice like it was nothing. And now that you've hit rock bottom, you want me to be the one who saves you?" Marcus had the decency to look ashamed. "I know I don't deserve it. I know what I did was unforgivable. But you're the only person I know who would even consider helping someone like me. Because that's who you are, Zara. That's who you've always been." I sat back in my chair and stared at him for a long moment. 3 years ago, I would have given anything to see him like this, broken, humbled, begging. But now, all I felt was tired. "Her foundation doesn't help individuals directly," I said finally. "We work with organizations, with systems. But I know a program that might be able to help you. They work with disbarred and struggling attorneys who want to rebuild their careers. It's a 2-year program. You would have to start at the bottom. Paralegal work, document review, pro bono cases. You would make less money than you probably made as a first-year associate, and you would be supervised by the program director every step of the way." Hope flickered in his eyes. "I'll do it, whatever it takes." "There's one more thing." I leaned forward. "The program is run by her foundation, which means technically, you would be working for me. Every report, every performance review, every decision about your future would go through this office. Can you handle that, Marcus? Taking orders from the woman you said was holding you back?" The silence in the room was heavy. I watched his face cycle through emotions: pride, shame, desperation, and finally, surrender. "Yes," he whispered. "I can handle it." "Good." I pressed the intercom button. "Denise, can you bring in the paperwork for the legal rehabilitation program?" Denise walked in with a thick folder, not even trying to hide her smile. She knew exactly what was happening. She had been waiting for this moment almost as long as I had. "There's one more thing you should know," I said as Marcus took the paperwork. The program director? The person you'll be reporting to, learning from, and answering to for the next 2 years? I paused. It's Denise. Marcus looked up at my best friend. The same woman who had witnessed our courthouse wedding. The same woman who had picked me up off the floor after he destroyed me. The same woman who had helped me build everything I had now. We're going to have so much fun, Denise said sweetly. To his credit, Marcus didn't argue. He signed every paper, he agreed to every term, and when he left our office that day, he stopped at the door and turned back. Zara, I know it doesn't mean anything now, but I'm sorry. Not just for leaving, for not seeing you, for not appreciating what I had. You're right, I said. It doesn't mean anything now. But maybe in 2 years, if you actually put in the work, if you actually become the man you always claimed to be, it might mean something then. Now get out of my office. You start Monday, and I hear Denise is a very demanding boss. After he left, Denise closed the door and looked at me. You okay? I took a deep breath and looked around my office. At the awards on my walls, at the photos of the women we had helped, at the city skyline through my window, a city that had given me a second chance at life. You know what? I said. I really am. Because here's the thing I learned from everything I went through. The best revenge isn't destruction, it's elevation. It's becoming so successful, so fulfilled, so at peace with yourself, that the people who hurt you are left looking up from the ground, wondering how you got so high. Marcus spent 2 years in that program. He worked harder than I had ever seen him work. He took every criticism, completed every task, and slowly, painfully rebuilt himself from the ground up. Not into the arrogant lawyer he had been before, but into something better. Someone who understood that success without integrity is worthless. Someone who finally understood the value of the people who help you along the way. At the end of those 2 years, he got a job at a small firm that specialized in wrongful conviction cases, the same kind of work he had dreamed about when I first met him. The work that had made me fall in love with him in the first place. He was finally becoming the man he should have been all along. Did we get back together? Absolutely not. Some things can't be unbroken, some trust can't be rebuilt, but I could look at him without anger. I could see him across a conference room and feel nothing but peace, and maybe that's the greatest victory of all. As for me, her foundation is now the largest women's advocacy organization in the Midwest. I got married last year to a man who saw me at my lowest and loved me anyway. A man who brags about my success to anyone who will listen. A man who would never, ever consider me beneath him. And Marcus's mother? Well, let's just say she tried to reach out once, after she saw how successful I had become. She wanted to reconnect and let bygones be bygones. I had Denise send her a polite letter explaining that her foundation doesn't work with people who tear women down, and then I never thought about her again. So that's my story, y'all. 6 years of sacrifice, 1 devastating betrayal, and 3 years of proving that the only person who gets to define your worth is you. If you're watching this and you're in the middle of your struggle, if you're supporting someone else's dream while yours gathers dust, if you're wondering if anyone will ever see your value, I want you to hear me. You are worth more than what you give to others. Your dreams matter. Your future matters. And if the people in your life can't see that, they don't deserve a seat at your table. Now I want to hear from y'all. Where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments, and tell me, have you ever had someone underestimate you and live to regret it? Drop your stories below. I read every single one. And before you go, make sure you smash that like button if this story resonated with you. Subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, remember, queens don't chase, we attract, and we always, always rise.